Hey everybody, Chief Meteorologist Brad Panovich. Let's get the latest on our tropical wave in the middle Atlantic. Not a lot of change really from the weekend, and this thing is probably not going to be in a big hurry to get stronger, though it probably will form here in the next couple of days. It's a very broad circulation, so we're looking in the middle of the Atlantic, right in the middle of your screen there, and I'm going to stop this so we can see it, but there's really no defined circulation with thunderstorms near the middle. It's very broad. There's a lot of dry air being entrained to that. In fact, let me show you something real quickly. This is a close-up view of it. And you could see there just isn't a lot to it. There's a nice swirl, but a lot of dry air. And as I widen the view here, this view is really cool because I think it shows you there's a lot of that Sahara air layer, that dust. If you look at that dust plume right there. So the fact that that dust is there and getting pulled in is likely reducing any chance of this cranking up really, really quickly. In fact, I think I have a view of the model view of the future dust. And if you look, that plume of dust travels just to the north of it. Now, that doesn't mean we're not going to get something to develop. Isaias is probably going to develop at some point, but this would deter rapid strengthening or intensification as that moves to the west. So I guess a lot of folks are, getting concerned, like, oh, look at the track. I don't see this thing cranking up all that much. We could talk a little bit about some of the plots here, and I showed you this before, but here's a look at the Gfs ensembles. And again, this does not take into account intensity, it just takes where they think it's going to go. And then we look at the European, which is a little farther to the south and the west. So let's bring up the spaghetti plots this morning. I did the short range plots because these are the ones that came out this morning. There is a tight cluster kind of going towards the Bahamas by the weekend, but we're getting a couple of the statistical and climatological models taking this off to the north and east. So it's not in a big hurry, it looks like, to get in here. It's not in a big hurry to intensify. So currently the Hurricane Center has a 90% of development within this area in red in the next 5 days, but an 80% in the next 2 days. So we'll have to see if that thing is going to get strong here anytime soon. It just doesn't look like Isaias is going to be cranking up here short term. Let me show you a couple other things. This is the look at the spaghetti plots as well from this morning. Notice there's definitely a recurvature hint to this, but also all kind of pointing towards the general area of the Bahamas going into the upcoming weekend. So let me show you the probabilities. I really love this product because it takes the ensembles and shows the probabilities. First, I'll show you tropical depression. So you could see the formation of a tropical depression based on the European ensembles. Pretty high probability down here. We'll go out 48 hours. We'll go out 72 to 125. And then we get towards the weekend and notice the probabilities start dropping off, but it shows it generally in that area around the Bahamas. And then there's a pretty big split here. Between the Gulf of Mexico and the Bahamas. This is a low coming off the United States, which will probably not be tropical in nature, but probably could become like a nor'easter subtropical thing. Obviously not moving away. And then here's our next wave coming off the African coast. But this is Isaias potentially somewhere in the Bahamas. We'll go out even further. And again, this is tropical depression strength. Look at the top there. So you're not talking about a huge system, just a tropical depression. Now let's go back and look at the probabilities of a tropical storm. There's the probabilities of a tropical storm. You could see moving into the future, how they drop off pretty precipitously, and then they're like between 5 and 10%. And then last but not least, let's look at the probabilities of a hurricane, just based on guidance. And again, remember, we're looking long range in future, but I just want to show you, there's no probabilities based on the European model. So while there's the possibility we're going to see a system, Isaias, develop here, the potential of this getting strong, at least the guidance is not hinting at something potentially getting very strong. And I think the reason we're seeing that is the fact that there's so much dry air and dust here. And when you look at the system close up, you could see it's got a nice swirl. It's over very warm water, but that dry air and dust, which is clearly visible here on the visible image, is really deterring. So long range, we'll keep an eye on it. There's not a lot of change today. I'm not going to go long-winded on this because the overall mechanism, we still got a ridge of high pressure over the middle of the Atlantic. This is pushing it to the east. It's going to take a recurvature here, or it's going to go here. So the areas to watch are definitely still in here. But the big caveat today is, what intensity is this here? It might not be much of anything. It might weaken quite a bit. But I will tell you the biggest flaw of forecasting tropical cyclones is not track. We're pretty good at track forecasting. We're not really good at intensity, because small things that happen within the storm that we just can't sample all the time are really difficult to forecast. But the fact that we've got dry air around it today, and let me go back to this picture real quick, because one of the things I can show you is the water vapor imagery, and you can see all this dry air surrounding the system. The biggest thunderstorms are down to the southwest, but the circulation center is up in here. So it's going to be battling dry air, dust, and unfavorable environment here for a while, but it's something we'll be keeping an eye on over the next couple of days. And again, this will be future Isaias.